Wild boars don't arrive like a random nuisance. They arrive like a plan. One night, it's a few torn rows at the edge of a field. The next, irrigation lines are lifted, fences are folded, and the ground looks as if it was plowed by something that never sleeps. What began as a southern problem has spread far beyond one region, and wildlife agencies across the U.S. now treat feral hogs as an invasive threat because they damage crops, erode soil, and collide with vehicles at dangerous speeds. Texas is often used as the clearest example. Researchers in state programs commonly estimate the population in the millions, and the annual agricultural losses are widely reported in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But the money isn't the only risk. Feral hogs can carry diseases and parasites that threaten livestock and pets, and they learn fast. Every failed attempt to stop them teaches the sounder new rules. That's why the best operations don't start with chasing hogs. They start with silence and data. First, you map the invasion. Hoof prints along the same fence corner, a muddy creek crossing that gets used after midnight, and a staging pocket in the brush where the group waits before rushing in. Cameras go up at each entry, not to create drama, but to reveal timing. Scouts appear first. The main group follows. The biggest, oldest boar hangs back where the light can't reach, watching the others eat as if he's counting mistakes. Then comes a patience test. The trap site becomes routine before it becomes a trap. Fermented grain or other strong-smelling bait is placed consistently, night after night, until the sounder accepts the location as safe. A heavy steel corral trap is built and anchored, but the gate stays open. The goal is trust, because if the gate drops too early, the smartest animals won't be caught. They'll simply rewrite their route and return later worse. When the moment finally arrives, it happens quickly. The sounder commits. Bodies press inward. Heads go down. And for a few seconds, every animal that matters is inside the circle. That's the window. The gate closes cleanly, and the chaos you expected never comes. Because the real victory isn't noise. It's control. And once control starts here, the next phase of the story spreads beyond a single farm. In states like Georgia, losses are huge, and the concern isn't just tomatoes or corn. It's the chain behind them. Damaged soil, delayed planting, broken equipment, and roads made unsafe when hogs burst from darkness. An adult boar can top 150 kilograms and run 48 kilometers per hour, so a weak fence is not a barrier. That's why traps are welded steel, anchored, and built to hold the sound. The hardest target is the veteran boar. He may stand outside the ring, reading smell and shadow, letting younger hogs test the risk first. If he doesn't enter, the problem returns. So the operator waits until the last cautious body steps in, until the circle is full, and the farm takes its ground back. Night work changes everything. In daylight, a farm looks calm and predictable. After dark, it becomes a map of invisible routes. The sounder doesn't wander. It flows. It uses hedgerows like hallways, creek beds like highways, and fence gaps like doors as memorized. That is what makes feral hogs so hard to stop. They are not only strong, they are organized, and every time humans react too late, the hogs gain another advantage. Once the first corral capture succeeds, many people assume the problem is over. That assumption is exactly how the next wave slips in. Sounders rarely exist alone. When one group is removed from a prime food area, another group begins testing the edges within days, sometimes hours. The cameras reveal it first, a single shadow at the tree line, then two, then the faint shimmer of eyes reflecting the infrared. They approach without urgency, stopping often, listening to the quiet like it can speak. The team responds by turning the farm into a network, not a single trap. One lane stays active as a main door, while secondary routes are tightened with panels and natural barriers. Brush stacks, reinforced corners, and narrow crossings. Bait is moved with purpose. Not scattered like a bribe, but placed like a trail that leads a sounder away from crops and toward clear ground where every angle is safe. The objective is simple. Make the hogs choose the path you control, even when they think they're free. Then the suspense returns. A storm front pushes wind across the fields, shifting scent and masking footsteps. That's when the oldest boar becomes most dangerous. He arrives late, alone, circling wide. He does not eat first. He tests. He sniffs the steel, the soil, the air itself, searching for a human mistake. If he senses pressure, he will pull the entire group back into cover, and the farm will lose another week. So the operator waits again, longer than comfort allows. Minutes feel like hours as the boar hovers at the edge of the light. The smaller hogs begin feeding, and the urge to trigger early hits hard. But discipline wins. The gate stays open until the last cautious step becomes a commitment, until the boar finally lowers his head and crosses the line. Only then does the mechanism move. The gate drops smoothly. No slam, no panic burst, no fragmenting escape. The sounder surges once, then settles into containment, boxed by welded steel and deep anchors that can't be bulldozed. Outside the corral, the field goes silent again, but the silence feels different now. It feels earned. At dawn, the team checks every perimeter point, not for trophies, but for proof. No new routing, no snap drip lines, no fresh tracks on the fence wire. Anywhere. Still, the cameras keep watching. Because control isn't a single night. It's the nights after, when the tree line stays empty, when the creek crossing shows no fresh mud, when the tomato rows remain untouched and the farm finally sleeps. If you want a farm to survive feral hog pressure, the last step is never set the trap and forget it. The last step is the one most people skip, proving the cycle is broken. Feral swine have been reported in at least 35 states, and federal invasive species resources estimate the U.S. population at over 6 million, expanding fast. That means pressure can shift from one field to the next overnight, because hogs don't just travel, they remember. That's why the operation transforms from a single capture into a control network. Cameras stay up, but the mission changes. You're not chasing bodies, you're chasing patterns. The creek crossing that lights up after midnight, the fence corner that gets hit only on windy nights, the staging pocket where the sounder pauses before flooding the crop rows. When fresh tracks appear, you don't charge into brush and teach them a new escape route. You tighten the corridor, seal the weak corner, and move bait with not as scattered food, but as a guided line that pulls the group away from crops and into clean, visible ground. In Texas, the numbers explain the discipline. Texas A&M AgriLife has cited estimates of more than 3 million feral hogs and more than $500 million in yearly damage to agriculture and private property. Those aren't abstract headlines. They become ripped irrigation, compacted soil, broken drip tape, lost yield, and farmers force to replant while the sounder returns again. So every decision is designed to reduce learning. Gates drop only with full commitment. Traps are checked daily. Panels are reset before they become familiar landmarks. And weak spots are reinforced before the hogs test them. Then comes the suspenseful part. The quiet nights. The first silent night feels like relief. The second feels like a test, because you start listening for what isn't there, No rooting, no fence rattling, no drumbeat of hooves in the rows. And that's when the lone survivor often shows up, one cautious boar that circles wide, sniffs the ground where others fed, and tries to rebuild the old routine. The answer isn't panic. The answer is patience with structure. One more controlled lane, one more sealed gap, one more camera angle watching the corridor you expected to choose. Eventually the farm story changes. Instead of reacting to damage, you start predicting it. Instead of seeing chaos, you see corridors. The cameras confirm fewer visits, the tracks fade, and the tomatoes make it to harvest without the nightly reset. That's the real win. Not a dramatic moment, but the steady disappearance of risk. When communities do it right, results show up where it matters. Fewer crop losses, fewer roadside surprises, safer edges of neighborhoods. It's not a battle against nature. It's risk management measured, legal, and planned. So the farm stays productive, the ecosystem takes less damage, and the next sounder learns a new rule. This place is not worth the risk. Again,